These are Cartman's most psychotic moments in South Park. Cartman's behavior takes a dark and extreme turn when he seeks revenge on Kyle in one of the most cruel ways imaginable. The episode starts with Cartman undergoing what is supposed to be a routine tonsil removal surgery due to repeated infections. However, something goes horribly wrong during the procedure, and due to a medical mistake, Cartman contracts AIDS. This news devastates Cartman, who expects sympathy and support from his friends.
We've accidentally infected you with the AIDS virus.
What? What's that supposed to mean?
During the tonsil surgery, we had to supply you with donor blood. A mistake was made and you were given blood contaminated with HIV.
Instead of offering comfort, Kyle laughs at Cartman's misfortune, finding the situation amusing because of Cartman's long history of selfish, cruel behavior. This reaction pushes Cartman into a furious rage and immediately begins plotting revenge. He decides that the best way to get back at Kyle is to make him suffer the same way, taking his anger to an extreme level.
Wipe that fucking smirk off your face! Well, any goddamn second, Kyle! I'm sorry, I gotta go home.
Late one night, Cartman sneaks into Kyle's room while he's sleeping.
You think HIV is something to be laughed at, Kyle? Well...
Armed with a syringe filled with his own infected blood, Cartman proceeds to inject Kyle with the blood, fully aware that he is infecting him with AIDS. This act shows just how far Cartman is willing to go to make someone pay for crossing him. He has no regard for the serious and life-threatening consequences his actions will have on Kyle. For Cartman, this is the perfect way to make Kyle pay for laughing at him. The next morning, Kyle is shocked and terrified to learn that Cartman has infected him with AIDS.
No! Doctor, what are you saying?
We've run every test imaginable. Little Kyle here is infected with HIV.
He is horrified by the realization that his friend deliberately did something so cruel. However, Cartman feels absolutely no guilt or remorse for his actions. Instead, he is thrilled by what he's done and enjoys watching Kyle suffer. Cartman mockingly refers to them as AIDS brothers and takes immense pleasure in Kyle's fear and misery.
Big tattletale? Tattletale? Do you know how serious this is? Well, Kyle, maybe I was just trying to prove...
If you think that was bad, wait until you see what Cartman does next. Cartman's manipulative and psychotic side comes out in full force as he tricks everyone around him by faking a medical condition for his own gain. It all starts when Cartman is at a toy store and overhears a young boy with Tourette's syndrome.
Asshole! Cock! Shit! Dumb shit!
Alright, Thomas, maybe we should go?
A condition where people say inappropriate things involuntarily. The boy shouts out offensive words, but no one reacts harshly because they understand he can't control it. Instead of feeling bad for the boy, Cartman sees an opportunity to exploit the condition. Cartman realizes that people with Tourette's syndrome can say whatever they want without facing any consequences. In Cartman's mind, this is the perfect excuse to do what he loves most, say offensive, rude, and inappropriate things without getting in trouble. He decides to pretend that he has Tourette's syndrome, hoping to take advantage of the condition for his own twisted enjoyment.
He seems to get worse.
Pussy!
Oh.
Pussy! Cock!
Oh,
Shit!
dear. I was checking out the internet and
Once Cartman begins his act, he goes all out. He starts blurting out insults, slurs, and vulgar comments in public, fully expecting that no one will call him out. At first, it works perfectly. People around him feel sorry for him, thinking that he's suffering from an uncontrollable condition.
I can't control it.
it's okay, Eric. We all understand and we think you're very brave.
Instead of punishing him for the horrible things he says, they treat him with kindness and understanding, believing that he can't help it. For Cartman, this is a dream come true. He can say anything he wants, no matter how mean or inappropriate, and people just feel bad for him. As Cartman continues to get away with more and more, his confidence grows. He starts becoming bolder, throwing out even more offensive language and enjoying how he can insult anyone without consequence. Cartman loves every minute of it, fully embracing his role as a fake Tourette's sufferer while pushing the boundaries of what he can say in public. But Cartman's thirst for attention doesn't stop there. He decides to take his charade to the next level by going on national television to talk about his condition. He sees this as the ultimate opportunity to make a spectacle of himself and push his act even further. However, things begin to backfire when the pressure of maintaining the act starts to affect him. As Cartman gets ready to perform on live TV, his control begins to slip. In a shocking twist, instead of only saying the offensive things he planned, Cartman accidentally starts blurting out embarrassing personal secrets.
And I also just want to say that I'm making this all up. I'm secretly in love with Patty Nelson. I fantasize about kissing Patty Nelson.
He reveals deeply private thoughts and insecurities, things he never intended to share with anyone. His own act of pretending to have Tourette's syndrome leads him to lose control over what he says, and he exposes parts of himself that leave him humiliated. But this is nothing yet. Wait, what comes next? Cartman's manipulative and cruel nature comes into full play as he embarks on a bizarre scheme to humiliate Butters by pretending to be a robot.
Greetings, I am the Osmo 4000.
The episode starts when Cartman learns that Butters has some embarrassing secrets about him, so Cartman devises a plan to trick Butters into revealing these secrets. Cartman disguises himself as a robot, calling himself Awesome O, and shows up at Butters' house. Butters, being his usual trusting self, believes that Awesome O is a real robot sent to be his best friend.
You should tell Osmo all your most personal secrets. Osmo will not make fun of you or tell your secrets to other people and stuff.
Cartman, under the robot disguise, takes advantage of Butters' innocence, listening to all of his personal thoughts and secrets without Butters realizing it's really Cartman inside the costume. As the days go by, Butters begins to share his most embarrassing secrets with Awesome O, unaware that Cartman is gathering all of this information to use against him. The most significant secret Butters reveals is that he possesses a humiliating video of Cartman.
Butters, remember when you said you had a video of Eric Cartman dressed like Britney Spears?
Oh, yeah?
I would like to see what he looks like so I can beat him up for you.
In which Cartman is caught dancing in his underwear. This video holds the potential to ruin Cartman's reputation, and it is the exact opposite of what Cartman expected to find out from Butters. Despite the discomfort and struggles of maintaining the robot disguise, Cartman stays committed to the act, determined to get back at Butters by using whatever embarrassing secrets he can find. However, when Cartman realizes that Butters is the one with dirt on him, his plan begins to unravel. To make matters worse, Butters starts taking Awesome O on various errands and adventures, forcing Cartman to maintain the robot act in increasingly ridiculous and uncomfortable situations.
Osmo?
Osmo is coming.
Come on, Osmo, we're good.
Even though Cartman's plan was originally intended to ruin Butters' life, it begins to backfire as Cartman becomes trapped in the robot disguise, suffering through all kinds of humiliating situations while still pretending to be Awesome O. If you think this was bad, think again. Eric Cartman's psychotic behavior reaches its peak in one of the darkest episodes of South Park. The story begins when Scott Tenorman, a 9th grader, tricks Cartman into buying his pubic hair for $10.
Hell no! Here, check them out. We don't want to see them, Cartman. There, see? How do you like them apples?
When Cartman finds out he's been scammed, he becomes the laughingstock of the town. Cartman tries to get revenge with small pranks, but when Scott continues to mock him, Cartman decides to create a much more disturbing and twisted plan. Cartman pretends to make peace with Scott by inviting him to a chili cook-off. He makes it seem like everything is forgiven, but secretly he's setting up something horrifying. Behind the scenes, Cartman manipulates a local farmhand by tricking him into thinking that Scott's parents are planning to steal his prized horse.
Of Scott Tenorman's wiener. It will be painful and humiliating. Everyone will see it happen. And then, Scott Tenorman will forever be known as the kid who had his wiener bitten off by a pony.
This leads to a freak accident where the farmer shoots and kills them, setting the stage for Cartman's twisted plan. Cartman doesn't stop there. He sneaks into the morgue, steals their bodies, and cooks them into a chili. His plan is to serve this chili to Scott at the cook-off, without Scott knowing what he's about to eat. During the chili cook-off, Scott unknowingly eats the chili made from his own parents. Cartman watches with excitement, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal the truth. After Scott finishes, Cartman gleefully tells him what he has just eaten.
Do you like it, Scott? I call it Mr. and Mrs. Tenorman chili.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
But instead of feeling any remorse, Cartman relishes Scott's misery. The more upset Scott becomes, the happier Cartman is, showing just how twisted his sense of pleasure is. To make things even worse, Cartman had invited Scott's favorite band, Radiohead, to witness the entire event. When they arrive and see Scott crying, they mock him for being a crybaby, adding to Scott's humiliation. Cartman sits back, enjoying every second of Scott's suffering. He doesn't feel bad at all for what he's done. In fact, he's thrilled by the entire thing. As Scott breaks down in tears, Cartman walks up and in one of the most chilling moments of the episode, licks Scott's tears and says, "Oh, the tears of unfathomable sadness, yummy, yummy."
Yes! Oh, let me taste your tears, Scott. Your tears are so yummy and sweet.
While everyone else is horrified by what has happened, Cartman stands triumphant, having carried out one of the most calculated and cruel acts in South Park history. Let's go to the next one on the list. Cartman's manipulative side takes a dark turn. It starts with him giving a presentation at school where he mocks kids with red hair and pale skin, calling them gingers and saying they don't have souls. He treats them cruelly and encourages others to do the same.
I'm talking, of course, about ginger kids. Oh, sick! Gross!
But things change when Cartman's friends play a prank on him by dyeing his hair red and bleaching his skin, making him look like a ginger.
Dude, okay, he's out! Kyle, that's good!
When Cartman wakes up and sees his new appearance, he panics, thinking he has become a ginger.
Poopsikins?
His attitude flips and he starts to believe that gingers are actually an oppressed group. Instead of realizing how wrong he was, Cartman takes things in a much darker direction. He starts a ginger separatist movement, convincing other ginger kids that they are better than everyone else. He tells them that gingers are victims and deserve special treatment, fueling anger and resentment among them. Cartman doesn't just stop at talking, he encourages the ginger kids to take action and become aggressive toward non-gingers. What began as a harmless prank turns into a serious movement, with Cartman as the leader.
Cartman a lesson. I'll bet that now, Cartman is gonna have a long, hard think about how he treated gingers.
He organizes rallies and spreads the idea that gingers are superior, driving the group to take extreme actions against those who aren't ginger. As the movement grows, Cartman enjoys his newfound power and influence, pushing the gingers to even consider getting rid of non-gingers altogether. Instead of feeling guilty for his past behavior, he uses the situation to manipulate others for his own benefit, showing no remorse.
Good to be proud of who you are. Now, I don't think I need to tell you there's a lot of hate out there. Hate for awesome people like us. And if there's one thing I've learned...
If you think what Cartman has done is bad, wait till you see what he does next. Cartman's psychopathic tendencies take a dark turn as he becomes desperate to control his mother, Leanne. The episode starts with Leanne struggling to discipline Cartman, whose behavior has become completely unmanageable. Cartman's defiance and manipulation have reached a point where nothing she does works, so Leanne turns to drastic measures.
You'd get to the antidote in time would be to saw through his leg.
That's very naughty, Eric.
Well, he called me chubby.
First, Leanne brings in two different reality TV nannies to help with Cartman's behavior. The first nanny from Nanny 911 tries to enforce strict rules, but Cartman quickly breaks her down by mocking her accent and taunting her relentlessly. His bullying becomes so extreme that the nanny ends up in a psychiatric facility, unable to cope with the stress Cartman puts her under.
I'm not doing this. Oh, but we really need some help. Find yourself another nanny. Television show.
Next, Leanne hires another nanny from Super Nanny,
But nanny, in just 3 days' time, you're going to see a new Eric Cartman.
who tries her own disciplinary methods. However, Cartman uses his manipulative tricks again, calling her names and driving her to the point of a complete mental breakdown. In one of the episode's most disturbing scenes, Cartman's actions push the nanny to the edge, and she begins eating her own feces in a fit of madness. Despite these attempts, Cartman remains out of control, and Leanne finally hires Cesar Millan, the famous dog trainer, to help.
Best friend, Caesar Milan.
Cesar uses calm, assertive discipline to handle Cartman's behavior, treating him like a misbehaving dog. For the first time, Cartman finds himself unable to manipulate or overpower the authority figure in front of him.
The child can pick up on that confidence, learn he's supposed to follow you, not lead you.
Mom, don't you love me? Can't you see I'm unhappy right now?
Caesar's calm but firm approach frustrates Cartman because it removes his ability to control the situation. As Cartman starts losing control over both his mother and Caesar Millen, he becomes increasingly desperate. Feeling trapped, Cartman's mind turns to an extreme solution, murdering his own mother. In one dramatic scene, Cartman picks up a knife and imagines stabbing Leon to regain control over his life. Although he doesn't follow through, the fact that he seriously considers killing his mother shows how far Cartman is willing to go when he feels powerless. The next one really shows Cartman's dark side. Cartman's complete lack of empathy and obsession with power and profit takes center stage as he creates one of his most disturbing business ideas. The idea comes to him after he sees babies born to crack-addicted mothers playing with a crack pipe in a hospital. Instead of being disturbed or sympathetic to their plight, Cartman sees it as an opportunity to exploit these helpless infants for entertainment and financial gain.
Crack, and give them a future as well. All right, what is it? Crack baby basketball.
Cartman comes up with a simple yet horrifying plan to create a crack baby athletic association where these babies will be made to compete in games while he films and sells the videos for profit. He treats this twisted idea like a legitimate business venture.
This thing is huge, and it doesn't hurt the crack babies at all. We're swimming in cash cow. Let me take you out to Denny's.
Fully focused on how much money he can make from the suffering and exploitation of these vulnerable infants. For Cartman, there is no moral consideration. He doesn't care about the baby's well-being. His only concern is how much he can profit from their misery. To pull off his plan, Cartman manipulates his friends into joining him, convincing them that it's a brilliant business opportunity. He uses his usual charm and persuasion, downplaying the obvious moral issues involved.
Legitimate sport, Kyle. We're getting slashed to start playing at halftime, and EA Sports is offering us $100,000 for the video game rights.
Cartman describes the whole thing as a sports league, further normalizing the exploitation of the crack babies and making it sound more like a fun activity than a horrifying act of cruelty. His friends, led astray by Cartman's sales pitch, start to see it as a real business venture, and Cartman takes full advantage of their naivety. Cartman goes so far as to create fake contracts for the babies, pretending that they've agreed to participate in these games.
Well, nothing. Crack baby players can't make a salary based on the rules.
So what, you would make money off of my child? That doesn't seem fair.
This absurd but sinister move shows just how far Cartman is willing to go to justify his actions. By using these contracts, Cartman absolves himself of any guilt or responsibility, making it seem like the babies are willing participants rather than victims of exploitation. He treats the entire operation like a professional sports league, complete with rules and schedules, all while ignoring the grotesque reality of what he's doing. Throughout the episode, Cartman's complete disregard for the suffering of others is on full display. When confronted with the moral implications of using crack-addicted babies for profit, Cartman laughs it off and continues with the scheme. He shows no empathy for the babies or their dire situation, treating them as mere tools for his financial gain. Cartman's fixation on money and power overrides any sense of decency or concern for others, highlighting his sociopathic tendencies. Let's go on to the next one on the list. Cartman's manipulative and cruel nature is fully exposed through his toxic relationship with Heidi Turner. What starts as a seemingly normal romance quickly turns into a web of emotional abuse as Cartman uses his manipulation skills to control Heidi and break her down over time. This storyline shows how Cartman can destroy someone's spirit and self-esteem without resorting to physical harm, highlighting a different but equally disturbing side of his psychopathy. At the beginning of their relationship, Cartman plays the part of a loving and caring boyfriend. He showers Heidi with attention, making her feel special and valued. At this stage, Cartman builds trust and dependency, leading Heidi to believe that he genuinely cares about her well-being. However, it doesn't take long for Cartman to reveal his true intentions. As Cartman grows more comfortable in the relationship, he begins to exploit Heidi's insecurities. He starts planting seeds of doubt in her mind.
I am supporting you, sweetheart.
Being supportive doesn't mean you criticize me, asshole. Just forget it. My point is...
making her question her abilities and worth. Cartman subtly isolates Heidi from her friends and family, cutting her off from her support network and making her dependent on him for emotional support. With no one else to turn to, Heidi starts relying entirely on Cartman, believing she needs him to navigate through life. Once Cartman has full control over Heidi's emotional state, he turns to gaslighting, a form of psychological manipulation where he twists reality to make Heidi doubt her own perception. Cartman blames her for every problem in their relationship, making her feel as though everything wrong is her fault. He constantly criticizes her, calling her fat and stupid, crushing her self-esteem and making her believe that she's worthless. The confident and happy girl that Heidi once was is replaced by someone who is anxious, unsure of herself, and always seeking Cartman's approval.
Well, I'm sick of everyone treating me like shit.
Think about the NFL. How much joy it brings everyone.
Heidi becomes completely trapped in the toxic relationship, unable to recognize how deeply Cartman is manipulating her. He has her convinced that she's the problem, which makes it easier for him to maintain control. Even when Heidi starts to have moments of clarity, questioning her situation, Cartman quickly manipulates her back into submission, making her feel guilty for doubting him. Meanwhile, Cartman revels in the power he holds over Heidi. He enjoys seeing how much control he has over her life and how easily he can manipulate her emotions. There is no guilt or remorse for what he's doing. Cartman sees Heidi as a tool for his own gratification. The emotional pain and confusion she experiences are irrelevant to him. All that matters is maintaining control. The next one is even worse. Cartman's psychopathic behavior comes out as he humiliates his mom in an attempt to get a real iPad. While all his friends have iPads, Cartman is stuck using a fake one, pretending it's real. Feeling frustrated and left out, he demands that his mom buy him a real one.
Need some of your lipstick, Mom? Because I want to at least look pretty the next time you decide to fuck me!
When she doesn't agree right away, Cartman takes things to the extreme. At an electronics store, when his mother refuses to buy the iPad,
Eric, we can't afford that one.
Well, you don't expect me to get the Wi-Fi only 16 gig version, do you?
I think...
Cartman causes a huge scene. He yells, "Mom, stop raping me!" in front of everyone, leaving the people around them shocked. His mother, completely embarrassed, tries to calm him down, but Cartman keeps making it worse. He makes a public spectacle to try and pressure her into giving him what he wants. His outburst shows just how little he cares about anyone else's feelings, focusing only on himself. As if that wasn't enough, Cartman even compares his mom to Adolf Hitler, trying to make her feel like a terrible parent for not buying him the iPad. This cruel and over-the-top accusation is just another way he tries to manipulate her. Cartman has no problem saying whatever it takes to make her feel bad, even if it's completely ridiculous. Cartman doesn't stop, and he keeps humiliating and trying to guilt his mom throughout the episode. He doesn't care at all about how upset she is or the stress he's causing her. He enjoys the control he has over her, seeing her frustration as a way to get what he wants. But despite all his efforts, Cartman's mom refuses to give in. She stands her ground and doesn't buy him the iPad. By the end of the episode, Cartman is still angry that he didn't get what he wanted, but he continues to act like the victim. If you think Cartman is willing to go far, see what he does next. Cartman's manipulative and psychopathic behavior is on full display as he goes to extreme lengths to ensure he gets what he wants. The episode revolves around Kyle's birthday and his plan to invite his friends to the famous Mexican restaurant Casa Bonita.
In Denver, and I get to invite 3 friends.
Wow, Casa Bonita!
Woo-hoo!
What's
Cartman is desperate to be included on the trip because he loves the idea of experiencing Casa Bonita's attractions, such as diving into the cave, enjoying Mexican food, and watching the entertainment. However, Kyle chooses to invite Butters instead of Cartman.
I still have to take Butters, but I hope things can be cool too. Good. And hey, if for some reason Butters can't go to Casa Bonita, you can take his place.
Knowing Cartman's history of causing trouble, this sets Cartman into motion as he devises a scheme to get Butters out of the way so he can take his place at Casa Bonita. First, Cartman tries to convince Kyle to change his mind, but when that fails, he resorts to tricking Butters. Cartman lies to Butters, telling him that a meteor is about to hit Earth and that the world is ending. He elaborates by saying that Butters needs to hide in a bomb shelter to survive the supposed apocalypse. Butters, being as gullible as ever, believes Cartman and hides in an old junkyard bomb shelter, completely unaware of the truth. Meanwhile, Cartman eagerly awaits the moment when Butters' disappearance forces Kyle to invite him to Casa Bonita in his place. As Butters remains hidden, the town notices his absence and a search begins. Everyone becomes worried about Butters, and the police are called in to help find him. While the town is focused on finding Butters, Cartman remains indifferent and only cares about the opportunity to replace him on the trip to Casa Bonita. Eventually, Cartman's plan works, and he gets to go to Casa Bonita with Kyle and the others. Once there, he indulges in everything he dreamed of, diving into the cave, enjoying the food, and watching the shows. However, his joy doesn't last long.
Scared? Oh, that was awesome. Oh, cliff divers. Come on.
Butters escapes from the shelter after realizing the world hasn't ended, and he makes his way back home. Once he explains what happened, and Kyle and the others eventually discover what Cartman has done, the police catch up with him at Casa Bonita. In the next one, Cartman's manipulative and psychopathic behavior is on full display as he becomes obsessed with the movie The Passion of the Christ. After watching the film, Cartman is deeply moved, not by the message of forgiveness, but by the extreme portrayal of violence against Jesus. He starts to interpret the movie as a call to hate Jews, and immediately focuses on Kyle, who is Jewish. Cartman quickly takes this as an opportunity to stir up hatred. He begins rallying others in the town, using the Passion of the Christ to manipulate them into thinking Jews are to blame for Jesus' death.
In order to do what we all know needs to be done, we have...
Cartman even dresses up in a Nazi uniform and leads a growing group of people on marches mimicking Nazi-like behavior, all while shouting hateful rhetoric. His main goal is to make Kyle feel guilty for being Jewish, despite the absurdity of his claims. Meanwhile, Kyle starts to feel genuine guilt after watching the movie. He begins questioning his own identity and whether Jews are really to blame for Jesus' death. Cartman, seeing Kyle's vulnerability, seizes the chance to manipulate him further. He encourages Kyle's feelings of guilt, pushing him to believe that the Jewish people should apologize for what happened. As Cartman's hate-filled movement gains momentum, the town becomes divided. While Cartman is enjoying the power he gains from leading his crusade, Kyle's mental state deteriorates as he struggles with his Jewish identity. Cartman shows no empathy and only focuses on pushing his own twisted agenda.